Hey guys, welcome back to the Tamari's Cave 2 Summer Showdown CD tournament. This is Tamari, and I'm the tournament's host, and I'm bringing you guys another weekly retrospective video. And this time I have guests. I have Jenny XJ9 and Boris the Animal with me, which are the team captains for Team Yolomancers and Team 404, respectively. So could you guys each say hello?
Hey everyone.
Jenny.
Hey everyone, it's Boris the Animal.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Normally I do this alone, but I thought it'd be cool to have people on because it just generates an interesting conversation. And yeah, I thought it'd be fun for you guys to listen to. So the purpose of this video is to give a little bit of insights on like how things are going with the tournament overall, with me, talk about the round itself, and then talk about the matches. So there isn't really like a predefined structure to this. We're just sort of like talking about what happened, podcast style. So I thought I'd first start off by just talking about how the tournament is going so far. Things have been going great. It's been honestly flawless, knock on wood. And I couldn't really be happier with like how things have been. Everyone's been having a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun watching you guys play. And yeah, it's just been cool. I've been seeing lots of friendships being formed, and people have even been asking me if we're going to do another one of these. And that's actually really cool. That makes me super happy to hear. I don't know if I'll be doing another one, but the fact that there's a demand for it it's very heartwarming for sure. This week was group stage round 3, which was the final week of the group stage before the playoffs. And I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but the point of the group stage was for all of the teams to earn as high of a total score as they could across all of the weeks. So coming up on the screen here, we do have the all-round scores shown. So our final standings we have Yolomancers in first place with 75-23, Chainsaw Enthusiasts with 73-70 in second place, Team Uwu in third with 50-12, Thick Snack King 69 in fourth with 38-04, and last but not least 404 with 28-70. And the way the group stage worked was all the teams played every week, and they tried to maximize this value. These values you're seeing here are a cumulative value of all the past 3 weeks of the event. And then at the end, the top 4 make it to the playoffs, which is where we're currently heading into this upcoming weekend. So unfortunately, due to the standings, we did have one elimination, and unfortunately was Team 404, who did finish with 28-70. It was actually a really interesting matchup because we did have, at the end of week 2, we had Thick Snacking 69 and 404 were actually literally 1 point apart. And that was like a crazy matchup going into week 3. And we'll talk more about those individual matches a little bit later. But as of right now, we do have the scores as follows. And yeah, it was just some really cool matches overall. For the most part, for me, the scores ended off mostly where I figured, especially the top 3. Because the top 3 teams, being Yolomancers, Chainsaw, and Uwu, they've all been playing very consistently with consistent strategies. So those standings are not super surprising to me personally, but yeah, do you guys have anything you wanted to add about the total scores before I move on?
It's not total score specific, but personally this week I was actually the most interested in the fight between TSG and 404 for the qualification spot because of how close their running was.
Yeah.
I was really excited to see how that panned out, and that 404 went for a really crazy strat because of it, which was fun to see.
Yeah, and we'll get into that too when we talk about that match specifically. It was actually probably one of the hypest matches we had all week. It was really fun to watch, and of course, Boris here, being the team captain of 404, we'll have some more stuff to talk about when we get there. Was there anything, Boris, that you wanted to add about just like the overall, how you felt about like the round, the scores, and all that?
No, not really. Look forward to the playoffs, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens this week. We do have, now that we're moving into the playoffs, we do have the addition of a bracket system now, right? Where teams are actually directly versing one another now, and there are eliminations coming up. So specifically, we have, due to these standings, we have the first place playing against the fourth place, which puts Yolomancers versus Thick Snacking 69, and then the second place against the third place, which would be Chainsaw Enthusiasts versus Uwu. And those will be happening this upcoming weekend. So we'll have another recap video about that next week, about how those matches go. But yeah, these are the total standings, the final standings rather, of the group stage going into playoffs. And then coming up here are the individual scores for the matches in this round specifically. So in these scores, we do have Chainstop Enthusiasts actually getting the highest score in the week with 2571. Yolomancers getting second place with 2178. Thick Snacking 69 with 1929. Uwu with a flat 1000, and 404 with 996. And I thought, as far as talking about the matches, let's just go into them the order they were played, which would put 404 first. So, as we mentioned earlier, we had Team 404 going for... well, rather, let me set the stage again. So, 404 and Thick Snacking 69 were 1 point apart going into this round. And they were obviously, as Jenny said, they were fighting for a seed in the playoffs. And 404 decided to do a no medic run, which actually almost worked. It was really, really crazy. They were holding it down really well. And I thought maybe Boris could put some insight into that, perhaps. Like, what was your guys' thinking going into the round, and like, what did you guys like? Were you guys just saying screw it, let's just go all in, or was it more of like, let's see if we can place into a higher seed, perhaps, in like the top 3 maybe even?
Well, we knew going in it could possibly be our last one, so we wanted to let everybody play. So I set out and Bumpound set out, and Emma and Try went in. And all this week, I sat in all that week, excuse me, I sat in spectator mode and just watched and looked at what worked and what didn't work. So Newt was sharp, and he was using the Carbine Corruptor to off-heal. Rabbit was using the Seeker 6, and can't remember if he was using the 101 exact. No, he was using a Carbine also, I believe. Scorps was using a 401 with his Foul. And then you had Emma, Try, and Rookie in the last lane holding it down. And we just got towards the end, and it had never happened in practice. We always came out on top with the composition we kept running after we refined it. We wiped a couple of times, but we refined it. And weren't going to worry about objectives, just going for time, going for the no medic bonus. And Rookie got pressed with that avalanche of Zeds, and I just remember seeing that. Oh my gosh, we're pushing out of pocket. What are we gonna do? But when I had asked them, "You guys want to go no medic, or you want to just play it safe and go for points?" And everybody was like, "Nah. If we're going home, let's go hard. We're gonna put on a show. No way."
For sure. And if it had worked, they would have actually placed.
Yeah.
It was so close. It was so close.
Yeah, it was really close. I think if we were actually talking about this, Jenny, I think, and then I also did the math myself. I think if you guys would have had your run go exactly as planned, you would have been in like almost second place, if not second place.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Been a huge deal.
Because the no medic bonus, right, it's designed to be a swing bonus. If you pull it off, you can make a comeback with it pretty easily. But the danger of no medic bonus is, as I've said multiple times in the games, is you don't really have any leeway to recover from mistakes. So assuming you manage to handle it fine and you keep on top of things, it's actually not that bad, especially if everybody's working together really well. But if something crazy happens, like you lose a couple people suddenly, or I don't know, like a surprise husk kind of comes in and flamethrowers some people down, so like critical health levels, it's really hard to come back from those kind of situations. And that's actually what ended up happening with 404. I actually have that footage up on the screen right now of their wave 10 kite. It really was unlucky. One of the things about Fright Yard that is important for the players to keep in mind, or rather it was important when we were playing it, was that they had that solo lane to deal with, right? And it was something that I was hoping that teams would see as they played the matches, and I think most did understand it. But that solo lane, if you lose sight of it, you actually have basically the gates of hell open, and
there's 2 large volumes in it.
It's impossible to get back in unless you have a lot of help, yeah. And because there are 2 large volumes inside the lane, and that's exactly what led to 404 wiping, because they accidentally, it wasn't on purpose of course, but they just lost their ground. Rookie was their gunslinger player who was in that lane, got pushed back, and because he lost sight of that room, he was never able to recover it. And because they had no medic, he didn't really have the pushing power, to be able to just go back in. He couldn't go in and take a bunch of damage. He had to play it safe, and that just sort of began to snowball out of control. And they actually had to do a reverse kite, which is again what you're watching right now. Ended up with Trifractal. Ended up with Trifractal just basically doing his best to clutch out the wave, and it unfortunately didn't work out. They got so close though. There were 13 or 12 Zeds left when when he died,
I
which
think
is
it was 12. Reverse
yeah.
kite on that map is so dangerous.
It is,
Yeah.
and we had kited a few times. We had done the reverse kite maybe 2-3 times, but never with that volume did we get forced out like that. We usually went, the direct way, the right through the warehouse. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah, it's tough, but I called it out in the stream after the game ended, and I said that I think you guys still did a really good job of adapting on the fly, and that's actually one of like the most important skills in Killing Floor 2, right? The people like to think it's aim intensive, and sure, you can make the argument that any FPS game, aim is a valuable skill, right? And KF2 is not really much different in that regard, but there also is a big element involving adaptation, just like adapting to changing odds, and that's exactly what things like kiting highlight. And I think that you guys did a good job of making the best of what you had, despite that snowball. You got a 996, which is basically the entire completion score. You just couldn't edge out like the last few Zeds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, all aim skill in the world isn't going to help if you don't have game sense to back it up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I couldn't
sure.
put that better.
It's and that's to say, that's not to say that like anybody did bad or anything, of course, right? Like I said, you guys all did great.
No, if anything, no medic is actually a massive game sense test more than an aim test, and the fact that they almost passed it is it reflects pretty well on the team's ability.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it was like I said, to me personally, this was like the hypest match of the week, I think, because of the stakes, right? Like everything, the fact that this was 404's qualifying game, the fact that they did the no medic run, it was just really cool. I had a lot of fun watching this match and casting it.
I got so excited because like I don't watch the other teams' matches unless I've done mine first, but I had somebody telling me about how their match was going in Discord DMs. I didn't ask them to; they just came to me with it, and I was so excited by what I'd heard about their strategy that it got me to actually come for their post-match interview to be in chat.
Yeah, it was really really fun to watch. It was a spectacle for sure, and like they got so close again. Like they actually played it really well, because I think Boris, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you guys also tried to do a no medic run in one of the other rounds, right? Was it round 1?
In Santa's workshop, we went for that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It was TSG that went for it in the first round. You guys did it last week,
right?
And like this week, it was like you guys are playing with like a renewed sense of vigor, because it was insane. Like you guys actually played so locked down. There was just a good management of resources all around. You guys had like the perfect distribution of perks, right? You had Trifractal, like playing Berserker with Simple Rapid on Demolitionist, and like using that combo to its fullest potential with Try just getting all the Zeds grouped up, and then Rabbit just nuking them down with Secret 6 missiles. And then you had Newt flexing and throwing freezes, and he did a really good job of that. So like everybody was just playing like their ass off, and yeah, I said it at the end of that match, but like there's really nothing to be ashamed of with that, even if it didn't end up in a victory. Like you guys like actually played really cracked. It was insane to watch.
They could totally do it if they actually had another run at it, honestly.
Yeah, I believe it. But yeah, that unfortunately though, because they did end up wiping, they weren't, the way the scoring system works, you only can get the bonuses if you actually win. You have to get to actually secure the boss kill. And that unfortunately resulted in a final score of 996, because they did drop the rest of the bonuses upon death. And as I said earlier, that unfortunately ended up in them not being able to secure enough points to make it to the playoffs. But man, it was a freaking good match, and I think if anything, like the ultimate goal you set out, Boris, like with just putting on a show, you definitely reached that, man. That was a spectacle to watch. It was really fun.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, thanks. And everybody got back, and we're still hanging out in the server and made some friends. They're still having fun, so it was a lot of fun. It was a big privilege to captain these guys, and them captain me at times too.
Yeah, everybody sort of, you guys all kind of worked. You guys all, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? You bounce
Everybody.
off of each other, right?
Yeah, everybody contributes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, I just noticed, too, in the VOD, I'm just watching this playback right now. You guys are also one of the only teams that uses Sentinel. I thought that was really cool in this match. Exactly.
Oh yeah, weren't people joking about the Sentinel being the MVP or the team captain after?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was Ron who said we needed to name the Sentinel now, and I think it was you, Jenny. You said the Sentinel shall now be called Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Shout out to Jeff if you're watching.
Yeah, that
Jeff, the team captain.
You're right.
The hidden 7th player. Yeah, it was a cool little thing that Rango actually, you know, who's Boris's team captain for 404, he ended up pointing out that because I think I'm trying to think who else used a Sentinel. There was another team that used one this week too, and I want to say it was Uwu used one. I think, yeah, it was definitely Uwu because I remember Police Dom was using it, and it was interesting because he brought up a point that I never really thought about with the Sentinel, that you could actually just buy one, deploy the drone, and then drop the weapon, and then pick up your initial loadout again, and now you basically have like a free drone floating, right? Which
That's what we were doing exactly.
Yeah.
And the couple of times I tried to work it into a strat, that's what we did with it. When we were trying to make Wave 10 on Hellmark work, I was actually putting a Sentinel on my LOS line to keep the mediums off my back.
Yeah, the thing that I didn't think about though, that Simple Rabbit brought up to me that was interesting, was that if you do that, you actually can't, like, you have to go pick up the weapon off the ground again to be able to interact with the drone again. And there was a moment in both of your guys' matches, actually, both you and Uwu, where a Sentinel was shooting a Flesh Pound or like a Scrake, and it raised larges on you guys. Because that's the thing with the Sentinel, right? It has no target prioritization. It just indiscriminately shoots at anything in front of it in its radius.
Which is just so great.
Yeah, it can be really useful, but it can also be detrimental, right? And because you have to go pick up the detonator again, you couldn't just like delete the drone when you realized that was going to happen, you know?
Right. Yeah, it definitely has its drawbacks if you start getting those heavies like we did, and it just started raging everything. So
Yeah, but it was cool seeing you guys use it though. That was I actually like thought about that when I was planning the tournament, and I was like, you know, I could ban the Sentinel, but I don't really think it's a problematic weapon, and I don't really think people are going to use it, but it would be cool if someone did, and it was cool to see you guys do that, so I'm pretty happy that I got to saw some Sentinel, some Jeff usage coming out.
So who played second?
So second match for the week was TSG 69, which is led by Freed Snipers and Kusu. So let me swap over to that VOD real quick. They were the other team, the other side of the coin from 404. They were 1 point ahead of 404 coming out of round 2, and were also fighting to qualify for the playoffs. And as we already mentioned earlier, they did end up being the one that clinched it, but it was still a very, very good run overall. They actually used a hold that I'm showing right now in the VOD. They held inside what normally is the solo lane for a gunslinger. They actually used that as their primary hold for the entire match, and that caught me off guard because there was a couple distinct downsides I could think of with that hold, mainly being the like brick wall, which is where my camera currently is now for the people watching. And they actually managed to have a really good setup for that. They had Kusu on Berserker with Blue Flame X on Firebug, and they both just held that down. So Kusu basically acted as like a bodyguard to that opening, and anything that came that way, he just absorbed the aggro, grouped everything up for Blue Flame X, and then Blue Flame just burns everybody.
They just pushed out into the mosh pit.
Yeah. That's a very good synergy that Berserker has with the Chaos perks, is they can basically, like Demolitionist is the exact same thing with 404, right? They did Demolitionist Berserker, and the same exact thing happens there where you can just group them all up and it makes your AoE perks actually more effective. And they did a really good job of doing that. Like Kusu was my MVP for that run because he single-handedly kept that entire backlane from folding. Because one of the things about the backlane that's important to note is that it's got a really long sightline, and if you don't deal with FPs, they will time rage. And it's also in the direction of the kite, so it's very dangerous if you don't manage to hold it. But yeah, he did a great job. Everybody did good, of course. Awesome J got some really clutch extensions for them. I think she was like my honorable mention for that run. And yeah, it was just really cool watching. They played their butts off. Last week they had tried to do a nomadic run, and it didn't work out for them. And I think they decided to just play it safe this week and just secure the points, you know?
Freed my arch nemesis.
Yeah, they were awesome. Also, while Kusu was out there, I kept seeing those Hail Mary throws on the freeze grenades from multi-games, which was just It's like, wow, look at that. And then they were holding in the warehouse. I believe they did go for the wave 4 objective, and they held that too. And wave 7, of course, because it was in the warehouse already.
Yeah.
Yeah, wave 4 and 7 seemed to be the objectives that everybody was doing.
Yeah,
Right.
4 was the L, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken.
4 was the L.
It was the L, yeah.
Yeah, the L was like a pretty okay one. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like you said about Awesome J, anytime I see Commandos doing awesome with an especially high ping, I'm just flabbergasted.
Looking at you, Police Dom.
Yeah, Police Dom,
Right.
Police Dom, Awesome J, right? All of them they're Asian players, right? And they're playing in a predominantly NA group, and so they often have to deal with pings exceeding 300 even at times. And yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but it really is, especially on Commando, because on Commando it's all about timing, right? You want to get the extension, you want to draw out the extensions as long as possible, but it's difficult to do that at times when the game's reaction to your initial action is really slow, and it can throw people off when they're attempting to do that. And both of those players, Police Dom and Awesome J, they both do a great job of dealing with that ping. And Commando's a carry perk too. If you play Commando well, you basically just enable your entire team. It's just so pivotal to control difficulty gameplay. So
yeah. Something else I liked about the way they held that was I don't remember if the other teams did when they did the objective on it, but they realized that if you don't have anybody on the door in the back of the hold to the long kite, they don't path there at all. So they only had people on the main warehouse door and on the hole in the wall.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is
That's
how you want to do that for optimal Z placement.
yeah, that's one of the secret things that I don't want to say secret, I don't think that's the right word here, but that was one of the things that I was hoping that teams would. It's why we made debug mode, right? Debug mode being a mode that the players have been able to use in the practice sessions, where they can actually see where the spawning volumes are for the map, and they can see even the Z path nodes and see which paths they can take. And the reason why we made that for everybody was because I wanted people to look at it and actually try to devise clever ways to, I don't want to say game the system, because I don't really consider it to be exploitative. You're just basically understanding the rules of spawning and how it works in the game, right? And you're using it to your advantage. And it's been cool to see teams do stuff like that, like what you're saying.
I believe it's exactly what because it shows you the choke points, places you can block, places you can't block. It really makes you think about the strategies of the map and how you want to try to work with the team composition, because you're not going with a team of everybody that you usually play with, all precision. You're going with something different, chaos perks. You're not used to. I know I certainly wasn't used to this formation, and taking into debug mode really and explaining to everybody, this is why we don't want to go here. This is why we don't. They'll come over the wall from here. We've got to watch that. So it helped everybody.
Debug mode's been great. I love formulating strats around knowing things from debug mode.
Yeah, it's really nothing that you couldn't have already gotten in the SDK. You could always load the map up and look at it, but what's nice about debug mode is it's all in game. You don't have to do any of that. It's really convenient to use, and everybody can do it simultaneously.
Way more convenient than the SDK itself, that's for sure.
Yeah. Also, oh my goodness. So actually, I'm so happy that I had the clip going right now, because one of the funniest moments in this match was, I was joking with Freed about this, but Freed he had his initial death in the first round in Helmar Station. He died right at the beginning of the game from getting stuck on something, I think.
Yeah.
And I've been messing with him this entire tournament, just giving him shit for it. And then this round, it seems to have paid off for him, because there was a QP that in the clip that I'm showing right now is the video. A QP actually had Freed in the corner, and then it just decided to walk away for some reason. I've never seen that before. It just turned around and just left, and it wasn't afflicted, it wasn't frozen, it wasn't stumbled. It was just I'm just not gonna kill this guy.
Mercy.
Yeah, he gave him Freed gave him the look, and he was QP was like, I don't want any of this.
Dude, it was so funny when that happened. I was like, what just happened? What did I just watch? Yeah, I'm showing it again right here. Yeah, I don't know what that was. He just turned around and just left him. And then Freed had also previously gotten caught in the corner too, so we thought it was gonna happen twice. But then, yeah, that QP just decided to show mercy.
I thought that was my thing.
Yeah, he got stuck on a table.
Well, I guess the difference between us is I get caught with full size and he gets caught with quarters.
He's quarter pound, yeah. Dude, quarter pounders are fucking. They can be ninjas, man. That's actually what happened in Uwu's game. We'll get to that in a little bit, but they can be really sneaky for sure.
Not only that, but they're also like really fast. It's kind of scary how fast they are when they're not raged.
Yeah, they can close the ground pretty quickly. They're like, I don't think they're as fast as Rage Skrakes are, but they're pretty close. They're relatively fast.
I think they're honestly a little too fast, if you ask me. They're kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, there's
But
also
that's another discussion.
no worries. Yeah, I was gonna say there's also that bug too in the game where they sometimes don't play footstep sounds, which I think is why Uwu might have gotten a little bit blindsided by them at times. But yeah, we'll get to that match in a minute. So I'm trying to remember what was TSG 69's final score again, Jenny? I think they got like 1800.
Let me double check. I have it here.
It was 1800 something.
Their final score for round 3 was 1929.
Oh, 1929. Okay, yeah, I was a little bit off. Yeah, so once again, they all played really well. They held it down. Again, I personally voted Kusu MVP. They ended up locking in that final score of 1929, which did give them enough to clinch a spot in the playoffs. So they will be, again, playing against Yolomancers, which is Jenny's team here, this upcoming week. That's all I've got to say. If you guys had anything you wanted to add about TSG 69's match.
It's on, Freed. My arch nemesis.
The fighting words.
Healer against healer.
Yeah, that's true. You guys are both medic mains, right? So it's really a big part of both matches are gonna be both of your guys' abilities to, as you like to say, help your teams get away with bullshit, right?
Oh my god, you would not believe the bullshit that I can get people to do. I'm especially looking at you, Chris.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Chris can do goddamn anything with me around.
Yep. Yeah, medic is a kind of enabler, right? Just like commando is. So, and people underestimate, I feel like, the value of a good healer. It allows your team to play so aggressively. Like you basically eliminate an entire aspect of the game in terms of like your team not having to really worry about their health at all. You just like focus on shooting stuff, and it really helps a lot.
Yeah, because one of the most dangerous things in this game is consistent chip damage, and one of the things medic counters is consistent chip damage.
Consistent chip, yep. And that's why no medic bonus is so dangerous, right? When we're talking about 4-4 matches, you have to keep on top of that chip, and you don't have the constant influx of buffs, right? You don't have the insane recharge speed that medic gets at level 25. You don't have things like Zeditive. Actually, in fact, in the tournament, you don't even have AoE if you're not playing medic. The only AoE healing option is the Corruptor Carbine, and that's already very difficult to make work as is. So
yeah, it's hard to get a lot of IO out of medic. Getting value out of it on Sharp is super hard. I had to actually teach Ray how to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's what makes that bonus worth so many points, right? That 1.5x score multiplier, and it's like I said, it really highlights how much a good healer actually does for the team. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how you guys both handle this week's match.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, me too. We'll be having that this weekend. So once again, TSG 69 did get our 4th seed spot with 1929 in round 3, and the next match we have on deck is the Chainstop Enthusiasts, which is Captain Saab's team and also co-captained by Bagels. And what was their final score again, Jenny? I think it was 25-71, right? If you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say 21-28, but that was my score.
No worries. So yeah, the Enthusiasts did earn a final score of 25-71 for the round, which is the highest score we saw all week. And the Enthusiasts' main strategy, at least from what I've seen, has been revolving around just playing very solid. Like for example, they've used the meta perk setup for the entire tournament. The 2 gunslingers, 2 sharpshooters, a field medic, and a commando. And they've just focused on playing quickly and playing efficiently. And it's actually worked out really well for them. They've had some of the most consistent play we've seen.
Yeah, it's definitely a sufficient strategy.
Yeah, it shows that you don't necessarily have to go for a no medic run or even objectives to actually get a competitive score. Like it helps, obviously.
2 objectives, which was the average for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, wave 4 and wave 7, and then they kept moving around the map and positioning themselves back to the L, back to the warehouse. Back to CD standard hold. They were really interesting to watch.
Yeah, I actually was like confused at first because I thought that maybe they were doing the L just because it was closer to the start point, But then they
That's what I
actually went
thought,
back
yeah.
to it, and it was like interesting. I wonder if they were doing that. I never got a chance to ask them in the interview, but I was wondering if they were doing that just because, you know, they just wanted to, or if there was like some kind of plan. But
I mean, it was pretty fast, that hold they did.
yeah,
Did they kite? I forget.
They did
yes.
kite on wave 10. I can't
Okay.
remember before
Because
that.
my team also had to kite on wave 10, and they actually got significantly more time bonus than us. So I think that hold was actually faster.
Yes, and from what I've been talking about with Elmo, Elmo being one of the team's players, he's been mainly maining Commando for them. He actually told me that internally that's been one of their main focuses, is trying to see if they can find fast ways to complete the match. And actually, last week on Santa's Workshop, they had a hold that was also very similar to the L, where the visibility was really limited and it influenced a lot of quick Z spawns. And they got, on average, I think the fastest waves last week as well, in round 2 rather.
Yep.
And that results in a decent bit of score, right? Because the time bonus works such that you get 1 point for every second under par. And I think, I don't remember off the top of my head if it was this week or last week, but they actually got a 717 time bonus for one of the 2 rounds. Don't remember if it was
771 for this week.
Yes, 771. Sorry, that was the correct value. Yeah, thank you. 771. So it was this week then, which is really fast. That's over 10 minutes of bonus.
It's over
time.
12 minutes. It's like almost. I think that's almost 13 minutes.
771. That should be. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Is yeah.
It's
600
like
seconds is 10 minutes. Which is really fast, right? If the par is 46, that means they won in 33, basically. Which is pretty quick.
My team got really hammered by, like, we hemorrhaged a ton of time on our kite, and I think and also we had to kite out on wave 3, which lost us a bunch of time too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk more about my team's time later, but we hemorrhaged a lot of time, and I think we could have kept up with them if we hadn't.
Yeah, I think actually Sob's team, they were going to hold that L, but they got that Giga spawn on the right and got pushed out of pocket, went all the way back. And if I remember correctly, with that Giga spawn, Elmo took a crit and killed him, and that's why they just pushed all the way back out. But, you know, it eats up a little bit of time, but better safe than sorry, and they held it.
Yeah, and it's funny how good your timing was with that, because it wasn't the wave where Elmo died, but they were literally getting pushed out of the L in the clip that I'm showing right when you said that.
Oh, really?
And that brings up something that I wanted to say, which was the MVP for the round. I definitely remember I voted Beardy for this, because during those scrap situations, that's when Commando really shines. That's when the pressure is at its highest, actually, in fact, for Commando. Because that Z time is what allows your teammates to recover and get back in their lane again, right? And every single time that happened to Chainsaw Enthusiasts, Beardy just held it down. And Beardy's again another player who plays with extremely high ping. He's actually a South American player, and he gets consistently over 200 ping, sometimes 250, and that guy plays really, really well. I feel like we have so many really good Commando mains that are super high ping. It's actually quite impressive. But yeah, I voted Beardy for MVP for sure for that round. It was just insane how well he played. Everybody played great, of course. All the players in their team are relatively new. Most of them are anyway. Like Dur, Kyram, and Juice Losfer are very, very new players, and they've really like improved so much in this short amount of time that they've been playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you pointed out already, the Mando just holding down extensions, especially in those crunch times when you really need it and you're being pressed by Giga spawns, it just makes the large killer's job so much easier.
Yeah, it's like if there's any one perk that is absolutely mandatory for any type of controlled difficulty play, it's Commando. Like, no matter how hard the spawn cycle is, no matter, you know, the skill level of the players in the match, like, having a Commando, or not having a Commando, sorry, is just straight up detrimental overall to the team. Like, it's so, Z time is that good. It's insanely helpful. It's kind of a shame that the base game doesn't really, like, prioritize it too much, but yeah, it's just great that we have CD, because it actually really highlights a really interesting aspect of the game that I think it's really fun. Oh wow, I see the I see the Gigas coming right now that you were talking about. They ended up getting a quintuple FP on that long lane, and I think that's what ended up getting them pushed. But Yeah, Chainsaw Enthusiasts this upcoming week, they will be our second seed. They were the second place team exiting the group stage, so they will be playing against the third seed, which will be Team Uwu, which will be our next match that we'll talk about here in a moment. And I'm looking forward to that match because one thing I haven't said so far about the individual matchups is that the stakes are a lot higher now in the playoffs, right? You guys are actually playing directly against another team. So there's going to be a lot of, like, you know, I imagine going back and watching each other's games and trying to understand the other team's thought process and trying to anticipate how they're going to play and then try to work out counter strategies, right? Because it's elimination round, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how both those matchups work, including you know, your guys's, of course, but also the Enthusiasts versus Uwu, which I think if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think we can probably swap over to that one.
Sounds good.
Jenny, I'm not sure if you're muted, by the way. I don't hear you talking. If you're just to make sure.
It was. I don't know why.
Oh god. Okay, yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about CSC's match?
You were talking about their Mando extensions, and
Yes.
Patriarch almost got away from CSE. He
Yes.
almost got away, but Z Time came out at the last moment, which is both on Sharp and on Mando to keep that going.
I will seek that out right now, actually, because
That's true. That's true.
Their boss fight was
They were-
actually somewhat slow.
They were throwing the freezes and it didn't take, but that extension.
It took on the last one.
Did it take on the last one? Okay.
On the last one, yeah. But he almost got away because he booked it immediately after, and they got swarmed by trash, and Elmo died.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm watching.
Right.
Elmo, he actually didn't freeze in the last one. In fact, he actually he got stumbled out of it. Or like flinched out of it or something, and it didn't go off. But yeah, they got that Z time at the last second because of the trash. I think probably they were killing, or it could have been a headshot. And then Bagels was able to follow suit and just unload on him with the.
What screwed them out of the free. No, he did freeze for, like, at the very end. He stumbles at first, but then he freezes for a moment. But my team actually had to keep an eye on that because when we were practicing our boss strat, he was stumbling out of the freeze, and so we actually delayed the freeze till after the stumble.
Yeah, it's one of the dangers of the debuff system in KF2. It's really easy to accidentally, like, there's so many like hidden triggers for like immunities and afflictions that cancel one another out that, like, it's actually like such a big deal. Like, if you want to be a high level player in this game, you actually have to understand how the affliction system works. It's really, really important because it can make a huge difference, you know?
Yep.
Like, one of the biggest mistakes I think that we've seen just consistently overall, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's actually quite common this happens even at the high level, but one of the most consistent mistakes that happens in CD is a Sharp trying to freeze a flush pound and somebody rages the flush pound before the freeze can go off. And if that happens, that just wastes the grenade entirely because FPs are immune to being frozen while angry. So just an example of something where, you know, like, knowing the debuff system is very helpful.
Yep.
But yeah, CSE, again, 25-71 was their final score, and they just overall played a very solid match. I'm sure, well, not sure, but I'm anticipating, rather, that they'll probably want to do the same thing again. I mean, see, that's the thing, right? That's what I was saying earlier, is what I'm so excited about with the playoffs, because, you know, if you take CSE, for example, right, they've played very steady. They've proven to us time and time again that you don't need to be flashy and go crazy with objectives or anything, and just play steady and play solid, and you can actually get a very good score. And it's worked out for them. But in the playoffs, right, they may be forced to actually partially abandon that strategy because their opponent may force them to do that, right, depending on what they do. And I find that interesting.
Is a lot of score.
Yeah, it is. 200 points per objective, right? So it's quite a bit of points to just leave on the table. And it's worked for them so far, but I'm curious to see if, you know, the circumstances changing, it might actually force them to swap their strategy. So I'm interested in that a lot. For all teams, of course, not just CSE, but that's, like, just an example of what I think is going to be cool.
And I think it's time we transition to Uwu.
Yeah, so the next match for the week, our fourth match, we did have Team Uwu, which is led by Coco and the Damn Guy. And Uwu's match was Boris, I think. Were you there, Boris, for that? No, you were doing Yolomancers, actually, with Elmo, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I think there was a 30-minute time difference, so we split them.
Yeah, the matches were overlapping. So this match, so I was there for this match, and this match was, man, it was a nail-biter, dude. It was insane. Uwu ended up...
wild, right?
Yeah, I think you guys ended up watching the VOD after, right? It was insane. So Uwu ended up getting a final score of they got a flat 1,000. They unfortunately actually exhausted all of their bonuses, but
The first team to go over par.
I have to actually give it to them, man. Their run was so close. Like, there were so many moments where things looked like they were going to fall apart, and they just kept pulling it together. In fact, they had a moment where their field medic, which would be Murnavex, he actually just got straight up trapped in a corner, and it was like at the beginning of the wave too. If he would have died, it's actually on screen right now, I'm showing them. He got trapped, and if he would have died, that probably would have just been the end of the game, right? Because losing a medic early wave with an FP train, it's not a good look. And
yeah, because then your team isn't prepared to take over heals, and
Yep.
you don't have DPS to compensate.
Yep. Yeah, I can't believe he got out of this. Like, holy shit, it was just crazy. He
The most stressful chicken farming experience they probably ever had.
yeah. Oh man, it was just insane. Like, so many people got so close to dying, and then they did have people die. And
Speaking of dying, I mean, speaking of stressful chicken farming, at least Murnavex did get some fried chicken out of it.
yeah, Mir actually, there's a I don't remember what wave it is anymore, but Mir actually got some fried chicken. The fried chicken experience,
Set
getting
into the
sniped by a
sky.
husk. Yeah. Man, those husks are they're really underestimated by players.
For sure.
They can be a lot more devastating than they appear to be. But yeah, just like speaking on Uwu's kite real quick, like it really shows. Actually, you can say it, Jenny. What was it you were saying about a panic again?
Panic is the most dangerous status effect in Killing Floor 2. It is the most lethal. It is absolutely. It will kill teams if you panic.
Yeah, absolutely, and we could feel it, right? Like we had actually gone into their war room three times actually this match, because they had the same issue that 404 was having, where they lost LOS onto the solo lane, which I think Coco was holding, by the way. And when that happens, right, you just get snowballed because the large spawners in that room activate, and that led to them kiting a couple times. So we had actually visited their war room 3 times already at that point. And I didn't really want to keep like overdoing it every wave, so we decided to keep it in with the casters for that kite. And man, we like felt the stress. Like I could feel the stress just like emanating through my screen. Like the panic and just like the overall, like they weren't ready for what was going on. And what happened to them too was honestly kind of unlucky, because you can get situations in CD where you have like FP avalanches, as I like to call them, where like basically you have a big group of FP spawn, right, and you can't kill them in time. So they rage, and when they rage, they kill a bunch of trash as they run through the map, and them killing the trash opens up more spawn slots, which then spawn more flesh pounds, which then also rage, and then the cycle repeats. And
Yeah, and you just have the flesh pound avalanche. I found the clip of Mir for you. It's at the end of wave 5.
I'll go
Like
look
the
for
very
it.
end of it. Which is about 32-40.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. Yeah, he just unfortunately got sniped by a husk, and I got a freaking hilarious angle of it because he just went flying into the air. Yeah, it's like right here, I think.
Oh wait, no, wait, hold on.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay,
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, yeah. It was actually the replay for that round. I felt kind of bad doing as a replay because I realized after I was like, I hope Mir doesn't think I'm just like trying to make fun of him or something. But nah, he actually took it in good stride. It was pretty funny though, watching the angle that I got. But yeah, Boris, did you have anything you wanted to add about Uwu's match?
Well, first, I do want to highly agree with you and Jenny about fear being the worst enemy you can have. If you start panicking, you don't think clearly. You start, at least I do, I start tensing up. So even my muscle memory is thrown. So if something happens, like you lose your medic, you just, that communication is so key. Keep clear. Don't yell at each other and start freaking out. You just stay in calm and keeping the comms calm and talking to each other and calling out as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I remember on this match, I believe it was wave 9 on the kite, there was it a full FP that kites around Coco, gets behind him, and then just turns around and wallops Coco, and it's like, what just happened?
Oh,
You know
yes, yes. I actually remember talking about that, because that was so what happened there. I can provide some context for that. So it's actually the replay that I showed after wave 9, and I know it's like right here somewhere. What ended up happening there was Mir got pushed back up the ramp, just because his lane got really busy. And when that happened, Coco being on the solo lane, he didn't have anybody between him, and Zeds typically tend to go for the closest targets, right? So the closest target was Coco. And that's really bad because the FP basically blindsided Coco. And if he had been dealing with anything else at the time, luckily he wasn't. But if he had been, that probably would have been a death. And that's their solo lane player. So if they lose him, their kite is in trouble. That's probably going to be close to a wipe, if not one, right? Because now they have to wade through like an ocean of Zeds. So.
Yep. Something I wanted to say. Yeah, panic is super dangerous. Chris has told me before that like one of the things that makes me as capable as I am at my job is the fact that I'm basically immune to panic in killing floor. And like panic is what makes you drop people as a medic. Even more than inattentiveness, if you ask me, is panic.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I also, like, I wouldn't say I'm as much of a medic main as you are, because I play more of, like, Gunslinger Commando, but in my time playing medic, I can absolutely agree. And because panic, like, not even just necessarily for the medic player themselves, you know, as we all know, like, players can also get themselves killed, and sometimes it's just no fault of the medic. And, like, in those panic situations, players can do things like, for example, running the wrong way. They go around a corner or something. And there's really just nothing you can do to save them. But that's a player you just lost, right? And when you're playing, like, for example, like GSO runs or something, you need every player to be alive. That one player you lose really hurts your DPS output. And
yep, that extends the wait by another 10 minutes.
Yes, and you read my mind. That's exactly what I was going to say. In the tournament sense, you will begin to lose a lot of bonus points because you will take longer to complete the wave. So.
Well, I was thinking of in context of GSO, but yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, for both of them, right? But for the tournament, it ends up just becoming more points lost because you waste more time. You know?
I just came up on the clip where Coco gets absolutely blindsided. It's a good thing that Myrnivex was actually looking at Coco when that happened.
Where was it at?
That's it. What was that?
Where was it at?
It looks like it was in the middle of, or like in the latter half of wave 6. It comes out of Mir and Damn Guy's lane from the back of a triple flesh pound and just ignores everybody and goes straight to Coco. And ambushes Coco.
God, I found it. Yeah, here it is. Yep. Yeah, and again, that's because of what I said. Because Mir was further back, the FP ended up deciding that Coco was closer, and he aggro swapped.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Myrnivex was watching when that happened, or that could have been bad. Also, armor. Armor is a big deal there.
Yeah, armor is a big deal for Myrnivex as well, right? When he survived that wave 10 scramble, he got stuck in the corner and then popped out by jumping, got knocked out of the corner by the FPs. Then he fell down into the pit, got calm hitted for like another 60 health or so, and he ended up leaving that scuffle with like 10 health. And if he didn't have that medic armor, that 175 medic armor, he would not have survived that, just straight up.
Yeah. At this point, I've actually been thinking about eco routing armor for the whole team.
Dude, I've been
just because of how good it is.
Yeah, I've been straight up stressing on armor like for so long. Like it's an aspect of the game that I feel is like underestimated. Like because a lot of
Ryan's
players
been doing it too, and that's what's been getting me to think about it so hard.
Yeah, because a lot of players will say like, you know, hey, you know, don't buy the armor early game, get your guns. And honestly, that's not a bad strategy at all. I'm not trying to imply it is, but like personally, I've played long enough now to have so many moments where I decide to be greedy like that. And I'm like, you know, I could get my SPX, I could get my Deagle or whatever, and I just like, let's not get the armor. Then something crazy happens that's like out of my control, like stalker spam or something, or I just get like double hit, you know? And then I die, and then I'm even more screwed because it's like, well, now I just lost my guns, and I really wish I had armor. And I've actually started to just do that now when I play, where I just actually will just try to get at least like one shard of armor, because that one armor shard, like the 25%, can actually make the difference between you living a crit and dying.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And that's why like the only perk I think that can really safely skip out on armor. I guess Berserker can too, but I was gonna say is Medic.
Yeah.
Because Medic on early waves can get by on Simbi and basically doesn't have to deal with armor that much.
Oh yeah, early game, yeah, I agree.
In late game, Medic armor is a huge deal because you can actually start tanking for your team, like I would do on Zena's Workshop with my body blocks.
Yep. Yeah, so Uwu, again, they did end up getting a final score of 1,000. Their overall score in the tournament after the group stage was 50-12. So I said this in the cast, but you know, they obviously didn't have the best game. They didn't like they said in the interview that, you know, this wasn't exactly like the result they were looking for. They still won though, which I think is super impressive. They survived that FP train situation, but the game
That's
overall,
a hard one to get out of too.
yeah, the game overall wasn't really what they were looking for. But because they had done pretty well in the past 2 rounds, they had that buffer, right? And so that 1,000 didn't really hurt them very much. They ended up keeping their place at third, and they clinched the seat in the playoffs. So all things considered, it worked out perfectly fine for them in the end.
Yep.
Boris, did you have anything else you wanted to add about Uwu before I move on?
No, they did really well. I remember the double hit on Doom and the damn guy. Coco taking another one from the quad FPs on the cut of Wave 10. Considering what they did, or what they went through with the avalanche of FPs, they did amazing.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. It was so like nail biting to watch. Like, I was freaking stressed, man. I was like, oh my
Great Yard
God.
has been a roller coaster of a map for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Mine is not an exception.
For sure.
And I think that's a cue to move to Yolomancers while Murdervex figures out where to put his next chicken coop.
Yep. So yeah, our fifth and final match of the week was going to be was the Yolomancers, which is led by Jenny XJ9 and Diamond Dog. And I'll let you take the floor on this one, Jenny.
Oh boy, I have some words with this map. So, okay, so I'm pretty sure we're the only team that did that Wave 1 hold, right?
Yes,
Right
correct. Yeah, right up the bat.
And what's cool about that is that was apparently like a really old school CD strat that Top Wolf taught me while we were doing this. And he was just like, hey, I know this super old Wave 1 CD strat, let's try it here. And we did it, and it actually worked out, and was a really nice time save. We maybe could have done Wave 2 there, but I didn't want to push it, because then you would start getting pounds, and it's a really tight space.
Yeah.
So what we'd do is we'd hit the trader that was right there on the way out. And then Wave 3 was normal. Or not Wave 3. Wave 3 makes me sad.
Right, Wave 3 was when you guys tried to go for the objective, right? Which is the...
We lost 400 points on Wave 3.
3 was the one that's on top of the containers, that's right.
Yeah,
Right.
we tried to go for the container objective, and we lost 400 points because 2 people died, and we didn't get the objective. And
Yeah, that's right.
that is really sad and ironic, because we actually went into this match where Wave 4 was actually the concern, not Wave 3. We were more worried about Wave 4 than Wave 3, and Wave 3 ended up being a problem. Wave 4 was fine. But I thought you would have really liked my strat, because what we decided to do was have a split where I wasn't in the objective, because right between myself and Master and Ray's lane, there are 2 red containers, and both of those red containers have large spawners in them. And so
Right.
if we didn't have somebody there, they would just get like flesh pounds and quarters and scrakes in their face all the time. And while that's not so bad with like scrakes and some flesh pounds, quarters are a huge problem because of how fast they are.
Yeah, they just get in and push you out of position.
And we initially thought to have one of like the slingers at the sharps over there, but then eventually I had the idea of like, well, what if I went over there so you all can just hold your lanes? And we basically never really even had that collapse during practice. It went really well almost every time, and at worst, like I would have to come back to the hold and like help reestablish. It was never really that bad.
Man, oh, sorry, my bad.
We get to the match, and at the start, I kept telling them, don't be near the ledge, don't be near the ledge. And then TPG walks near the ledge and gets flung off.
Yeah, that's actually what I was about to say. You know, when I made that objective, right, I was thinking about like what would be the main challenge, and it pretty much was like husks all the way.
Yep.
And from what I watched just now, that's exactly husks and quarters. Yeah, that's exactly like what's, especially in TPG's case, he got knocked off twice. I didn't actually realize it was twice. I saw the first one.
Yep.
But he got knocked off again, and then ended up dying for it. And also, it looks like Top Wolf just got completely trapped by crawlers.
Top Wolf got grabbed while doing an FP takedown, and he didn't have an upgraded EBR, so he didn't have enough damage to kill it.
That's super unlucky.
And
Yeah,
then he gets decked by it and a Scrake at the same time and just gets vaporized.
Yeah, he just died like instantly. That's unlucky. And like you said, it does end up costing more points. That's one of the dangers of objectives, right? Is you have to complete the whole objective to get the points.
Yep.
And it's really easy to run out of Zeds to actually have to do it.
And like to put into perspective, like there is a 400-point gap between TSG score and my score, but we might have actually beat TSG or not TSG, CSE. Chainsaw Enthusiasts, we might have actually beaten their score if we had actually gotten the Wave 3 objective without any deaths. It was that big of a hit to us to not get that.
Yeah, it would have been close, right? Because I think you said you got 2182 as your final score, right? And they got 2571.
Let me pull up the scores again. Scores, group 3.
Pretty sure I'm right.
It was 2571 versus 2128.
Yeah.
So that would have put us within like 50 points of theirs, and like we would have had more time bonus because we wouldn't have had to kite out. So it would have been it would have been either dead even or in our favor.
Or you would have actually ended up, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that it's just like that one. That's like kind of KF2 in general, right? Like one thing can just make a massive difference.
Yep.
Going wrong, and it's not even always in control, either.
Yeah, I kept trying to tell him to hug the walls during that hold because if you get booped off, it's over. And like it's a kind of a miracle that that TBG got up after that in the first place. I was kind of impressed. And then wave 4, we were pretty sketch on. It wasn't like terrible, but like we felt it was like a 75-25 on it being really easy, and we got it really easy.
Nice.
Apparently a lot of people actually had the Mando on left, but what we noticed was Mando wasn't getting enough trash on left, so he swapped into right because right was like giga swamped all the time. So we had Ryan and Master holding left lane a little further back while we had the rest on right lane, and the extensions were just such a big deal, and the trash clear because I think he had a stoner that wave. And he was just mowing through trash and not doing a whole lot of large fighting that wave, and just keeping the lane clear for Ray and Topwolf as best he could.
It looks like I'm actually. You narrated that perfectly, by the way. Every single thing you just said, it like happened on the clip that I'm showing at the exact perfect time when you talked about it. But
yeah, and Carpine was really nice on that wave too because it let me save medic grenades and give group boosts to the right lane a lot.
Yeah, the carbine's really useful for saving grenades. It's difficult to use, but if you can pull it off, it's extremely helpful.
You actually have to be careful because you can steal extensions with the explosion if somebody doesn't see your seed and kills the Zed with it.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, it looks like TBG was doing the Bullpup and the Scar that wave, by the way.
I thought he had a stoner. I know he had a stoner later in the game.
Yeah, I remember seeing him having one at 1.2 as well, but it looks like this wave it was just Scar and Bullpup.
It was probably just an eco choice because of the deaths. I think if he had full eco, he would have had a stoner that wave because he had a stoner there in practice.
Yeah, and I just skipped forward to wave 5, and he does have one now at that point, so yeah, I think you're right about that.
And then I don't think really much eventful happens until wave 7, and then wave 7 is just the objective, and we do it the same way that some of the other teams did it, except we don't have a Zerker out in the mosh pit, and we don't have anybody on the door, because nothing comes through the door if you don't have anybody there.
Oh, you mean the back door? Yeah, the one that leads toward the kite, yeah.
Yeah, and so having nobody there keeps that open for us to leave if we get pushed, which did happen at the very end, because a flesh pound came through that door, and I saw the flesh pound got frozen, but there was a scrape next to it facing the opposite direction. And I didn't want to risk having one of them not die because they have to fight two enemies facing two opposite directions and have it just flip out as soon as it unfreezes. So I called a kite, and we just reestablished on the kite lane and finished it out.
Yeah, sometimes flesh pounds do weird stuff like that. Like, you'll rage them and they like do a 180 or something and like look away from you. It's always...
Scrakes are worse, honestly, in that regard.
Yeah, they can be really bad.
Scrakes do weird stuff.
That actually reminded me of something that I forgot to say about when we were talking about CSE. Because you mentioned it yourself that you didn't have a Berserker on the outside. Yep. That's why that hold is really dangerous if you don't have the Chaos perk, because CSE had the exact same scenario where they did this hold the same way you guys did, and...
I think CSE had bagels on the door, though.
But they had, yes, they had somebody on the door, though, in fact. But the point I was trying to make was that when you don't have a Chaos perk to hold the opening, it's all about just, like, getting the kills in time. Yeah. You just gotta get the kills. You gotta get the freezes off and kill them before they rage. It's basically a time trial.
And that was a benefit of having Ray on that lane, Ray has really fantastic target priority and is really, really good at calling out which Zed to kill and doing it with his lane mates. So he was making a lot of target priority shot calls on that lane and was keeping it down a lot of the time. And Ryan and TBG were just taking advantage of the extensions and making Zed time.
Ooh, you guys had another death on that wave, it looks like, too.
Oh, yeah, that was my fault. I embarrassed myself. I thought, oh, I have the Corruptor Carbine. I can help with the Scrake kill because Scrake easy for Sharp. And then Top Wolf died because he got hit by the triple hit combo and went from 100% to dead instantly. And that wouldn't have happened if I just healed him. So between wave 2 and that, we could have had a better score than CSE. Our strats were there. We just had some rough execution points.
Yeah, you definitely would have been up by like at least probably 200 points because you actually had 2 deaths that wave, it looks like. Because somebody died on the way out as well. I think it was Ryan.
I don't think Ryan died on wave 7.
Somebody died on the way out. I was just looking at it, but I already skipped off of it, so I don't remember anymore. But
we had 4 deaths because we had 2 on wave 3. We had Top Wolf on wave 7 and Ryan on wave 10. Because wave 10 we had to kite, and I think Ryan got a bit of tunnel vision because he put himself in the corner at the end of long kite.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And there were some flesh pounds there.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is only 4, and I thought somebody died, but I'm just misremembering. My bad.
Yeah, this is why I'm glad that I trained myself to basically almost never ADS in this game, because I can't do something like that to myself and just ADS and don't notice I'm at the corner. And then honestly, I think the only other thing of serious note was my team's boss kill and boss manip was actually the best of the entire week. We had I think it was a 30-second Patriarch kill from spawn to death.
Yeah, I'm actually showing that right now.
Yeah, because I found out that if there's a boss spawn volume in the gas station, and I figured out, oh, what happens if I stand in this corner? And so I just told my team to stand in the corner during practice, and it just worked.
Yeah, because he spawns like right there.
Yeah. And so the strat was going to be, we pop around the corner and just absolutely mag dump on him. And because of all the stumble power, he'll stumble, and we won't freeze him until he gets to yellow. And then we'll get to yellow, hope for Zed time, and just absolutely go off. And that's exactly what happened. And it wasn't our absolute fastest run, but it was a good run for us. I think our fastest was 25 seconds.
Yeah, you guys just absolutely melted him. I'm like watching it right now.
I think the second fastest team that week was like 40 seconds or something, 45, and we were about 10 seconds faster. Because no other team had a boss minute that close, and we got really good RNG with with the Zed timing, and what Pat wanted to do, where he just tried to minigun me, and the team just absolutely laid into him while he did.
Yeah, the Zed time is especially fortunate too, because when you're shooting at him as a sharp, any of those headshots, if you're getting headshots anyway, could trigger the Zed time early at a time when you don't want it to be,
Well, we also didn't need extensions because we were killing him that fast. It was just, it would give us more burst DPS, and I think we got Zed time twice.
Yeah.
As well, like something else that Top Wolf and I were coordinating was as soon as he hit yellow health, we'd surround him so he couldn't run off easily. Top Wolf would dump all his freezes to lock him in place. I would stop firing so I don't stumble him. And then I would also throw all of my meta grenades to zone out trash so the team could just keep focusing Pat. And his freezes worked out, and my nade placement was good, and nobody got bothered while finishing Pat off.
Hell yeah, yeah. I unfortunately wasn't at that game because I was casting Uwu, which was happening simultaneously. But I came back and checked out the game after, and yeah, the boss kill was super impressive. It was really fun to watch.
Yep. Yeah, I love doing like ridiculous boss strats like that, which is why we tried to go for the Han strat on Hellmark that he screwed us out of. And then we didn't really have an answer to A-Bomb last week. We just kind of winged it. But this week we were absolutely on top of Pat. And I think what really helped was the fact that we were able to find that manip in like 30 seconds. It just worked first try.
Yeah, and it's actually, that's kind of like a throwback, like to us, for me as well, because when we played in the Flex tournament, me and Newt led a team for that tournament. We did the same thing for the boss on Hellmark Station with Hans, where if you, I mean, you guys tried to do that too, I think. You and
Yeah, but
Uwe
he
both.
went the wrong way.
But he went the wrong way, unfortunately, and also just like I think you guys got a Z time just like when you didn't need it to go off, which is
More
really
than
unlucky.
once.
But the same principle applied there, where we realized like if you stand in that specific spot, it like gets the Z to spawn, or the boss rather, to spawn at the exact position. And again, that's what I like about KF2. Like it's some people would probably argue that's like really gamey and like kind of cheap, you know, like you're like manipulating the game or whatever. But I think it's like it is manipulation, obviously, but like in a good way. It's just understanding the game's mechanics.
It's like
and,
any other spawn manip. You know, it's like
Yeah.
line of sighting a spawn point.
Yeah.
It's the same idea except in reverse.
Exactly, and I like that kind of stuff, and I think it's interesting seeing like teams trying to incorporate that into their strategies.
It's really smart because you have to think about the logistics of where you're standing and how that influences the game.
So your guys' final score was a 21-28, right? Which will allowed you rather to retain your first place position overall in the tournament.
I think our theoretical score was like 2,700. Like we could have done so much more.
Yeah, if you just didn't have the deaths that you had, and then also got that wave 3, you would have probably gotten
like even if we had gotten the exact same time we did, the health and objective bonus alone lost us 600 points.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys still kept your first place, right? You're still in first place overall.
That was part of the
75-23.
reason we did the strat we did, because we considered doing a nomadic initially, and then figured that it would be better just to keep our first place spot for now.
Right, because as I wanted to show the audience that's watching this, now that we have the group stage completed, we do have the playoff bracket forming, and what your position was in the group stage is somewhat relevant. So I'm going to bring that up right now, actually, in fact. And here we have the playoff bracket shown. And so the way that it worked, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but the way that it ended up working out was that the first place team, which in this case was the Yolomancers, faces the fourth place team, which is TSG 69. And then the second and third seeds play in a match, and that comprises the semifinals, which will be played this weekend. And then 2 weeks after, because the finals is actually 2 weeks long, we will have the winners of those two matches obviously playing. And it works out in such a way where if you get first place, your reward is that you actually get to play against the quote weakest team. I say quote because obviously it's not necessarily that a team got lowest place because they were, they didn't play as well or something.
I'd say TSG could give Uwu a run for their money.
It's mainly just the fact that the match just didn't go as well as it did for the first place team. And so like these matchups aren't necessarily going to have predefined outcomes.
Player skill. Uwu, part of the reason that TSG is on the bottom is because they tried to go for nomadic one week, and nobody's gotten that to work out, even us.
Did they go for nomadic? I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure Uwu had the wipe. They had a wipe, and they got the retry.
I think TSG went for nomadic.
It was TSG. Yeah, it was the first.
That's what
week.
I was saying.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Uwu. I'm sorry. I misheard you.
If I did, it was a mistake.
Oh, okay, no worries.
No, TSG went for nomadic, I think, on week 2, and that's the reason they were in the position they were in. If they hadn't have done that, I think they would have probably placed. They would have been in competition for third place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's also true as well. Boris, you were going to say something. I didn't quite catch that.
No, I was just agreeing with you both, what you were talking about.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to add about Yolomancers or just about the playoff positions, the seedings?
You both really covered it perfectly. I could only repeat, so no, I'm good.
I will be very closely watching the match between CSE and Uwu.
Yeah, it's going to be... the reason I brought up that point of just saying that, the seedings don't necessarily represent skill level, because it's obviously true, right? Again, some teams got unlucky, like Uwu, for example, and that's not really indicative of their skill as a team. That's all to say that these matches could really go either way, right? There isn't really a clear winner necessarily out of any of these, at least to me. So it'll be fun to see what happens this weekend, and then we're gonna go into the finals, and it will be fun to see what happens there.
I have a habit of pushing for objectives, and you saw what happened on Wave 3. What happens if an objective goes sideways, which is entirely possible on any of them.
Yeah, and the map for this week is Crash, and the objectives on that map, as you've already noted to me, are not very nice.
No, and there's 8 of them. We've only been able to practice 4 of them so far. But I will not say how it's been going.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, I think if you guys want to have any other closing things you wanted to say, I think we can probably just move toward wrapping this up.
I think I'm good.
Boris, you got anything that you wanted to add?
No, just your last point about how anything can happen. I think I said it in the last one that when we played that you can make all the plans in the world, and then when the match comes, the RNG just shits on your plans. So you
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
I suppose that if it, a thought I just had is that if it comes down to CSE and my team, I guess one way you could look at it is that no matter what, Yolomancers wins because Saab was on Yolomancers during the last tourney.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot that he was on your team in the CDMT winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Again, as I said in the beginning of this, I couldn't be happier with like how things have been going overall. Everybody's been having a lot of fun, and it makes me really happy knowing that.
Dude, practice has been so fun.
Yeah, I've gotten so many positive remarks from everybody, and it's just been super cool, man. It's been, especially coming out of CDMT winter, right? Like that, as we already know, that ended up in disaster from unforeseen events, but I'm not gonna get into all that, but we had to end up canceling it, and it just sucked. Like it was like we were all looking forward to it, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. But being able to come back and do this one and having it go as well as it has been, it's just felt super nice.
With how well it's gone, I'm hoping that if we end up doing a 3rd tournament at some point, that we actually get even better turnout.
It's very possible that could happen. That's actually something that I was talking with Elmo about at one point as well. So yeah, I mean, it's, for a lot of people too, I imagine, like the idea is relatively, I mean, you have to remember too, first of all, that there isn't really much tournament / competitive like presence in Killing Floor 2. I mean, most people wouldn't even really think that a game like this would have any kind of competitiveness to it, right? And that's understandable. Like, it's not really your typical.
We made the whole row set up ourselves.
Yeah, it's not really your typical type of like game that you would have that in, and we've been able to make it work in a fun way. And so, perhaps people just needed to see that the idea was actually viable, and I think it shows that it is. I think assuming the players are like down to play and they show up and everything, and we have enough people on hand for staff and stuff, like it could be very successful, and that's what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah. I really love how sky high the skill ceiling in this game can get.
Yeah, agreed. That's why I've been playing it for so long. Go ahead.
I agree with you both. There's so many friends of mine that, I tell them I'm playing CD KF2, and they're like, "Oh, I played that game years ago. That's still around." It's like, yeah, when you show them, they're like, "Oh, this is sick. This is complete twist on the game."
I've been sharing the tournament with a bunch of my friends whenever I do a match, and 2 of them have installed Killing Floor as a result.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so cool to see versus vanilla. And this isn't. I'm not shitting on vanilla, but you don't have to really do teamwork in vanilla. Let's be real. But in CD,
once you reach a certain skill point, like teamwork in vanilla is optional.
Exactly, and in CD you have to rely on each other. So it's a lot of fun.
Yep, you couldn't have put it any better. That's exactly. It's why I still play. Right. I think I would have quit a long time ago if I didn't have CD, because it just gets boring after a while, and I think it also. There's something really magical about getting together with an organized group of people and overcoming like a really hard challenge, and the grinding and like the mental part of that, right? And when it pays off and like that feeling of it and everything there's something special about it, at least to me, and it's what's kept me playing the game for several thousands of hours now. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, it's and it makes me happy too, right? To like be able to give back to other people who, because for me, like, I got lucky and met the right people at the right time when it comes to CD, and they got me into it. But I know not everybody has that luxury, and the point of this tournament is to get people involved, and so it's cool that I'm seeing people that, like, they play this, and then now they're actually participating in games outside of the tournament, and they want to keep playing after the fact. I mean, that's literally the point of the tournament. It's to plant the seed, right? And then we just hope that it blossoms into something beautiful, which it kind of seems like it has been for a lot of people. So I'm very grateful for that. And, as my little closing remark, I guess I might as well transition to that for myself here. I just need to, like, thank everybody, both you guys, obviously, for being here. and you guys in general, like the staff, for helping me run the tournament, and then also the audience and the players. Like the players, obviously this wouldn't work without them, and also the audience like keeps like it actually keeps it relevant. Like you guys come in and hype it up, and you guys share it around, like what you said, Jenny, right? You give it to your friends, and then they share it with people. We even actually managed to get an official tweet on the Tripwire, or well, yeah, the Killing Floor Tripwire official Twitter account. They actually tweeted out about the tournament on there, and that's like freaking
Yeah,
awesome,
that was awesome.
like it's really been kind of popping off, right? And we've had 50 plus viewers on like most of the streams, at least the ones that are during peak hours. And dude, yeah, I just like I said, I couldn't be happier, man. It's been really fun. I definitely want to do another one for sure. Like it's gonna have to depend on time, of course, and things that are going on in my life. But if I have the time, yeah, I want to do another one for sure. It'd be a lot of fun.
Well, that's what really excites me too, is seeing people watch the streams that didn't even know CD was a thing, and you see them commenting, and we're always telling them, "Hey, hop on in. We're down to play," and they join, which is awesome.
Yeah, several of never mind. I forgot what I was saying.
You're good. You're good. It'll come back to you. I'll just add on to what Boris said and say that.
Right now.
Oh, go ahead. You first.
The two people I said that actually reinstalled Killing Floor because of what we're doing had never even heard of CD.
Yeah, and that's quite common, right? Like the thing is, like Killing Floor 2 is such it's an old game, right? It's like what, 7 years old now, and it's already a small game, right? It's only got several thousand concurrent players usually in a given day, and then CD is an even smaller subset of that already small group, right? So it never really surprises me that people don't know about CD. But like I'm happy that like our community and like the tournament and stuff like that and everything associated with it is a positive means of introducing people to CD, because that's honestly, like, I think that's one of the biggest concerns that people that I know had, for example, with gameplay like this, is that, you know, there's a lot of like elitism and toxicity and stuff associated with it, and sure, there is some of that. You know, I've seen some of it at times even, but for the most part, all of us just like want to get more out of the game, and it's nice to be able to frame controlled difficulty like in that way to the outside world, right? And like show that like it's actually just a lot of fun, and you should play it, you know, if you're not already. And so, you know, I've been also doing the same thing as you in sense of like just people watching the stream, you know, hey, if you liked what you saw, and I repeat that again as well here, if you like what you see in the tournament and you like want to try that out, like come play with us, right? The Discord link is at the bottom right of the screen right now. It's discord.gg/Tamari. It's a pretty straightforward link, and we literally like this place is designed for new players. So like this is like the best opportunity you have, right, for getting into this kind of gameplay. No one's gonna judge you. No one's going to berate you. We just want to have fun, and we want to build people up, because we understand that doing that is vital for the scene to actually survive, right? That's why we're hosting this. So anyway, I think if you guys don't have anything else to say, I'm gonna move to wrap this up here.
Go for it.
You good,
Nothing
Boris?
else nothing else to add.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you both once again for joining me for the retrospective, and again, thanks to everybody that's participating. Thank you to the audience. Thanks for watching this video. I hope I realize not everybody probably really likes this kind of a thing where we're just kind of talking, but for those of you who do, I hope you got something interesting out of it. And yeah, we'll see you in the matches this weekend. Check my Discord server. Again, the link's at the bottom right. We will be posting the links to the matches in there. And then next week we'll be back, next week we will be back with another retrospective about the semifinals, and then we'll have the finals, and yeah, I can't wait, man. It's gonna be fun. So
I am so interested to see what the other teams do for semifinals. It's gonna be whack.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be freaking cool. So once again, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the matches this weekend. Y'all take it easy, have a great day, and yeah, signing off.